What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Red Shirts Remastered, and we are back for another weekend at the Goa'uld. I had to say it with a spooky voice. It's October after all, and once again, I am joined by the Ledge, David March. How you doing, David?
Okay, pretty good. On SG1.
Yeah, this time
we have some
weekend at the Goa'ulds
to get through. Some bad episodes upcoming, and one of them will be reviewed today, and one that's very key to the show will be reviewed first, thankfully.
Yes. One that is very key to the show, because we learned something very interesting about these. I was going to use a word, but that would just kind of ruin what we're going to talk about. These ghouls. Right. I would use an adjective for them, but we'll talk about that later. So, the first episode is The Enemy Within. Dun, dun, dun. And the other episode is Emancipation. Which, to me, is very disappointing that it's a bad episode, and I'll get to why. They should have done something something they should have done that they didn't do. And this is season 1.
Yep.
Episodes technically 3 and 4, but on Amazon it's 2 and 3. So we're just gonna go with what Amazon says, and it's 2 and 3. But in real life, it's 3 and 4 because the premiere is literally Children of the Gods parts 1 and 2, episodes 1 and 2. But I digress. So they're back from that mission on Shulak. Literally, the last episode ends with them standing on the ramp, and it ends and they're back. And so we get to starting this new episode, and they're figuring out where all the teams are going now. And then we get some funny, silly banter between Kowalski and O'Neill, which is, classic Richard Dean Anderson banter in anything that he's in. So, then all of a sudden Kowalski's complaining of a headache. And they're like, hey, go to the infirmary. We need you top notch. Go lead your first mission ever. And get your first command.
Yeah.
So, and then does it go right to the... No, then we get the news that the people from Langley are coming to get Teal'c.
Right, that's the B plot of this episode.
Yeah, the B plot. Yes, the subplot, as we call it. B plot. There's another term too, but now I forget what it is in TV and movies.
Good shows I found have generally run at least 3 plots in any particular episode. MASH is a classic.
Absolutely.
Having A plot, B plot, C plot to get you through the episode.
Yeah, a lot of J.J. Abrams TV does that very well. Except for on series finales sometimes. Yeah. We're not going to talk about Lost here. Don't worry.
I actually started watching Lost for the first time from the first episode today.
Oh.
I got caught up, I think, season 2 and 3, and then just dropped it.
I understand.
I didn't have time for it, but yeah.
I understand. I just finished binging a JJ show, Alias. So
I've seen all of Alias.
Alias is fantastic. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Alias. We're here to talk about Stargate. Anyway. So Kowalski, then we cut. So they're like, oh no, you can't take Teal'c, and they want to treat him like a lab rat, and he saved our asses, and I've already made my decision about him. He's never going to turn back to being Jaffa and work for the Goa'uld. And unfortunately, Hammond goes, well, no one else feels that way, man. Nobody else feels that way that's higher up. Maybe your team feels that way, but nobody else does. Yeah. So we get that argument, and then we go to the infirmary, I believe, is the next place we go. Yep. And what happens then, David? You
isn't this basically where he kills that guy?
Yeah! We get our first death. He's touching the back of his neck. He's like, what's... And then all of a sudden you see start wriggling and they're back there. Ah! Yeah. And eyes glow. neck grabbed, neck snapped, and Doctor dead. And then, we cut to a meeting of some sort of scientific breeding with the nerds, as O'Neill would say. And they're like, wait, hold on. Daniel's talking about something. They're talking about, the dial home device. That's right. Because that's where Sam's like, oh, it's like a phone. And he goes, a phone. Oh, I like that, a phone. And they're like, yeah, because you're like dialing home. But as she's talking, then Daniel's like, wait, what's going on? Why is Kowalski, and this is interesting to me, why is Kowalski in the embarkation room? Hasn't called it the gate room yet.
Yeah.
It's the embarkation room, but pay attention because probably I think that's the only time he calls it the embarkation room. Every other time it's the gate room. So it was really odd for me that choice of writing, and maybe that was because it was the first time they referred to it.
Yeah.
Because they've never really, I guess, yeah, because there's already been soldiers there. They haven't really yelled. The soldiers were already in there because they were expecting the Goa'uld to come, and they were testing the iris and everything in this episode as well. And so they kept testing the iris. Goa'uld kept coming through. Boom, boom. That's subplot C, I guess, was what you could say, is testing the iris. And expecting, and they asked Teal'c how much more is this going to happen. And
yeah.
And he's like, oh, maybe one or two more times, and he goes,
Goa'uld are bombarding the iris thinking that they're trying to destroy her.
Yeah. Thinking that they are just getting their weapons through. And then he's like, oh, yeah, they won't come through. They'll come through later to check. And he's like, oh, they'll be in hell for a surprise. And then he finds out, oh, am I a prisoner here? Yeah, you're a prisoner. But I promise I'll show you Earth. Mm-hmm. But not all at one time. It's big. Yeah. It's big, he says, because planets in general aren't big. Like, I wonder how long it would take to walk Chulak, like, shit.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing how almost all the planets in Stargate look like northern Vancouver.
Yeah, amazing. What a surprise. And some of the houses look just, look like they were built on Earth. Amazing.
Right.
Anyway, so, back to the embarkation room thing. And so they go down, they check on Kowalski, and all of a sudden it's like he blacked out. He didn't know how he got there. And, they're like, go see the doc. They go see the doctor, and wait a minute, the doctor's not here. Why is the doctor coming? Where's this guy? And O'Neill's like, you saw the doctor before, right? And Kowalski's like, honestly, I don't remember, man. I blacked out, yo. Yeah. And
I think they could start speculating that it may be a side effect of the Stargate.
Yes, that's right. They're like, oh yeah, it's got to be the Stargate. That's it. Because you're dematerializing and rematerializing, so it causes blackouts. Which, I guess, honestly, it's logical a little bit. Yeah. It's like, but at the same time, don't they have Star Trek in their world? Have they never watched teleporters? Don't do that. Come on, man. Seriously. And so all of a sudden we meet the surgeon who comes in, who's going to be very important in this episode. And he's like, yeah, let's go do an MRI. Obviously, that makes sense. So then
that doctor does show up again in future episodes. He is kind
of yeah. He comes back as backup for Frasier. Yes, agreed. Yeah. And so they do the MRI, and they they spot a Goa'uld. And first, though, before that happens, I forget, this is where they first start the interview with Teal'c to try and see if he goes to Langley, because something happens after the MRI that you have to meet these guys first. So
we have to definitely meet these guys because we're getting a lot of plot dump for the future.
Yes. So these guys are from the CIA, or NID as they call it in this show. National Intelligence Department, instead of, and so they come in and they say, like, look, Teal'c, how much knowledge do you have of the Stargates, of the technology? He's like, none.
I do not know about Goa'uld magic, and it's not magic.
No magic, it's science, man. But they just want you to think it's magic. And he's like, they rule with cruelty, and I forget the word he used exactly. But basically with an iron fist, and he asked about the leadership, that if they can negotiate with any leadership. And he's like, yeah, they won't want to do that.
No.
They just want to kill you if they can. Mm-hmm. Or take your bodies as hosts, So, or Jaffa. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So like, O'Neill barges in, and does this whole says it's not science thing. And so he's trying to prevent them from taking Teal'c. And Hammond is even like, yo, what is wrong with you, man? This is this man saved our lives, and blah, blah. And Kowalski, they wanted to try and take Kowalski as well, or something. So they go do the MRI, and they find the Goa'uld, and they go to Teal'c again, and they say, hey, is your guy in there? And they show him that, and so they're like, all right. So then they were like, all right, we gotta try and surgically remove it, and they want to talk to it too, which is like, why? I don't. Why? Okay, and they're like, why? You want to just, trade a life, And because Teal'c's like, you got to offer him another life, man. And he's like, nah, I'm going to kill you all. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to break out of here. I'm going to kill you all. I'm going to go back. You're going to let me through the Stargate. And, so they're like, no, that ain't happening.
I can go raise an army and come here and conquer you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You work for me as a god.
When this is like a larva Goa'uld still, because this Goa'uld that jumped out of a Jaffa into Kowalski on Chulak. It wasn't a grown, like it wasn't like it was the Tok'ra. We'll get into them later. Later in the show. And so he doesn't have full control, so they want to try and bring it up so they can talk to it, and then they want to try and remove it so they can experiment on it. But then the people from Langley are like, no, don't take it out of him. We want to talk to him. We want to bring him, take him, detain him. We'll talk to him. We'll get all this information out of him. They're like,
we learn now that in this episode, the Goa'uld have a genetic memory. So what one Goa'uld knows in the past line passes it down to this Goa'uld. So he has all the knowledge of all the Goa'uld before him.
Mm-hmm. And no one in the facility wants that to happen. They're all like, screw you, this is one of our soldiers. So they grab Teal'c, and they stick him on a weird table where only his Jaffa larva pouch is showing, and they have the larva out, and they're trying to figure out ways to sedate it so that they can sedate the larva Goa'uld inside Kowalski. And while that's going on, O'Neill and Kowalski are talking, and like O'Neill's like, "Can I have your stereo?" And so,
and for those who don't know, that's a Saint Elsewhere reference.
Oh, is it? I did not know that.
Yeah, there's in the last season of Saint Elsewhere, there's a doctor who has been throughout the show learns he has cancer, and he tells one of the orderlies about it. And he's famous throughout the show for having a very expensive stereo. And the orderly's like, when you die, can I have your stereo?
That's terrible.
I know.
Was he serious too on St.
It was
Elsewhere?
very much a comedic moment.
Okay. Good.
I just learned I have cancer. Oh my God, Doc, can I have your stereo?
Yeah, that is good comedy right there. Absolutely. Lighten the mood a little bit. So that's funny. Good callback to an old TV show. Excellent. Always love those in TV in shows. And so they do the surgery and they remove what they think is the Goa'uld. And so they're like, they pull out this thing and it looks like a dead Goa'uld, and then they go and they talk about that he's recovered and yada yada yada, and they're like, let me thank the man that saved my life personally, and it's Teal'c, who figure out the which anesthetic to use. And what happens? Well, he's still a Goa'uld.
Fully integrated with Kowalski.
Yep. And eyes glow. He basically knocks Teal'c and everybody else unconscious.
That was one thing, I thought when I saw it, when he's he actually brings in Teal'c and pretending to be Kowalski, and then reveals himself as truly the Goa'uld, and has the evil Goa'uld speech, but he didn't snap Teal'c's neck like he did the soldier earlier in the episode.
Yeah, that's really odd. And it's like, I think it was more of, it's quicker, but the way he grabbed him, maybe he did Teal'c, but the larva healed him. Maybe. But also it could be that for time purposes, using military, Well, no. More like for the Goa'uld, thinking, I'll just knock him out real quick and go. So he's a Goa'uld again. Still. We didn't mention earlier that he had hurt Carter and taken her hostage and tried to escape, and then he turned back into Kowalski or was fooling them as the Goa'uld.
I think he returned to Kowalski.
I think so too. By that point, he hadn't been fully taken over. But we learned that it was just a husk that they pulled out. So we also have learned in this episode that the Goa'uld are very smart and know how to deceive well. And so Teal'c goes and fights Kowalski in the gate room. And he had turned the gate on to go to Chulak, and the gate's on and everything, and they're fighting, and Jack comes running and says, Teal'c, hold his head in there in place. And they shut the gate off, and his head gets sliced off.
Whew. Yep.
So that is the end of that episode. Essentially, except that they don't take Teal'c because he saved the whole base's life.
Yep.
By
one of the underlying themes of this episode was made by the NID. How can we really trust this guy? And at the end of the episode, he confirms his loyalty to her.
Yes, absolutely. So that was that episode, which we were all very excited to watch. You should always be excited to watch the second or third episode in a series premiere season, because that's usually when it starts to pick up. I feel like really get into it. And unfortunately, though, the next episode was not that. It was pointless.
But still, I don't think it's our one, but it's down there.
Yeah, I don't know why it was thrown so early, maybe into the series. And my thought on it is that it's very Prime Directive-y.
Yeah, that's very Prime Directive. We explored that. They kind of get out of the way of what they're going to do when they're handling other.
Yeah, I think
that's. This is the first of the many episodes that they deal with when they meet something else, humans from another timeline. I guess is a good way to describe them.
Yes, because in Emancipation, they come through the gate and instantly they meet. It reminds me of Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Right.
Where the boy's running. Ah! But really, it gets more serious. He's being chased by dogs, and O'Neill fires his guns, and this Mongol kid comes running up. And
wild packs of dogs? That's really a thing out there, I guess. This world is a Mongolian type world.
yeah, but so I guess the dogs came with them back when the Goa'uld took the Mongolians, and so then they had dogs too. Because
I just found it so weird that this guy's being chased by a pack of dogs, and they're not being controlled by someone.
Yeah,
like. I'm used to seeing shows where a pack of dogs being controlled by hunters.
That's true.
Chasing down like a wanted fugitive, but just random pack of dogs is attacking.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. You're right. Very odd. Yeah, just random dogs.
Yeah.
So, he's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me. Oh, thank you." A woman! Oh
no! What do I do? Yes, about this woman here.
A woman! No!
And the other thing I thought was interesting, they did this in this episode, and they kind of drop it, is they keep telling them they're not from Earth or another planet. They keep telling them they're from a part of
the planet. Well, yeah, it's like they weren't sure if they should correct him and say, no, we're not from there either. We're from here. It's like they just went along with it. Yeah, we're from far away. Yeah, we're not gonna.
But we never really see. This is a technique we never really see ever come up.
No, you're right. They never lie about where they're from before. Again, I mean.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because they're Mongols and not like European-looking people that they can relate to.
I think it's just a plot line that was more like they tried it out this early episode and said, you know what, that doesn't
work. It wasn't a popular episode, so obviously it was smart that they didn't adopt this. Yes. So they then all I guess the guards from the tribe or tribesmen come and they basically arrest them.
Yeah, they want to kill Carter immediately.
Yes. She's like, no. Yeah, for talking. Just for she spoke, kill her. It's like, whoa.
Right.
Whoa. So, and so they kind of arrest them, but because, as the father and the chieftain of the tribe says, you saving my boy might have saved your life. And you saving my boy from the wild dogs. I think he even says from the dogs.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And so, they have a party. Carter puts on traditional dress and
Jack personally orders her to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, do I have to do this? I'm like, yes.
Yes, you do.
What's his name? Not Teal'c.
Jackson.
Daniel's like, anthropologists do this all this time, but I'm not an anthropologist. Says Carter, and it's like, you are now.
Yep, you're. So because of that, Abu, as he's named, which is a weird name for Mongolian, if you ask me. Is Abu a Mongolian name? Like, I've never looked that up. I'm not going to look it up. I don't care that much, but. Abu is a monkey in Aladdin to me.
From what I understand, the Mongolians of the time are all red-haired white people of historic significance. They do not look like modern Mongolians today.
Well, that's
like
hilarious.
Some sort of Slavic, almost like a Slavic tribe.
Right, from like northwestern Russia or northeastern Russia and stuff.
That's why all those Russian women you'll watch on YouTube have red hair. It's because of the Mongols. Genghis Khan is the
which Russian women on YouTube, David, are you watching?
Oh, I'm watching a couple of them. There's a girl named Ancient Nesty and Ellie from Russia.
Okay, and there you go. There's
your. Nesty does like traditional. She just films around her house and and Ellie from Russia just travels the world.
Cool. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, there you go, folks. There's some recommendations of channels.
Yeah.
So Carter gets kidnapped, and they wake up in the next morning, and they're like, "Where's Carter?"
Yep.
And then cut to Carter being
a good movie people should watch.
Get Carter. Great movie. And so you cut to Abu and Carter tied up, saying, "I'm going to trade you. You're the most beautiful woman we've ever seen, and so I'm gonna trade you for what I want, the woman I love.
Yep.
And so the the chief confesses, I know where they've probably gone. They're gonna trade her, and we cut to the other village, and that's where
it really starts to go downhill.
Yeah, and this is where it really disappoints me because they use such a good actor as the chief of the rival frickin'
We've seen him in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa, who has been in so much stuff that you would recognize him just by looking at him. I don't.
Mortal Kombat. He was.
Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Right.
Yep. That's one of his biggest roles. Yes.
Yeah.
And
on that show on TV with the cop show. I can't.
Hawaii 5-0. Yep.
Oh, there was another cop show he was on with. God, I'm trying to remember his name. Guy from Miami Vice.
With Don Johnson?
Yeah, he was on a show with Don Johnson for a couple of years.
Really? Yeah. Nash Bridges.
Yes.
Nash Bridges.
The first couple seasons.
Yeah, Nash Bridges. Now I remember Nash Bridges.
Yeah. I remember there was a night on because they were up against Homicide: Life on the Street, and Homicide: Life on the Street actually has an opening episode for their season where they mock Nash Bridges.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. He was in 15 episodes of Nash Bridges. Yeah. And not just with Don Johnson. We got Cheech there too, man. You can't forget Cheech and Nash Bridges. Yeah. Cheech Marin, man. Cheech and Chong. Yep. Nash Bridges is totally weirdest place you expect to find Cheech.
It's a very strange
so
the cast of characters.
Yeah, but such a great actor. And this episode was just, he was so like, and I just cringy.
Poor direction. I do not know.
Very poor direction. It's cringy character. And so basically the team gets to camp and they say, "Oh, we'll trade you this gun for because she's a great chief in where we're from. You know, you gotta let her go. Hey, you won't want to let her out? Here's this gun."
Beyond that, I just want to say when she is brought to this chief in the dress she's wearing, oh my God, you get to see stuff you don't normally get to see when you're looking at
Carter.
Sam Carter.
Yep.
And it was very nice to see it.
Okay, keep it in your pants, David.
I know. And then we don't get to see it anymore.
No, we don't.
It changes it to something more appropriate.
One of the cringiest lines in this episode is, "I like spirit in my horses, not my women." Oh, God.
Oh, God. Right?
God. What? Ugh. Anyway, and that's, maybe that's traditional Mongolian from back. I don't think it is, though.
No.
I don't think it really is. So I don't know much of my Mongolian history, but I don't think that's how they were.
No. In the show, they explain how that because of the Goa'uld, they call them demons.
Yeah.
And that they have taken on this extreme look.
Oh, that's right.
Their wives or their women to protect them from
getting taken. Yeah. From the Goa'uld. That's right. So thank you. There we go. Explainer, folks. Because this is a bad episode, so sometimes we tune out to it. So sometimes we miss things. I did too recently, but you miss things, especially when you try and block it out. Yeah. And so, what was I gonna say now?
We were talking about their poor treatment of women and how this whole episode is
terrible.
They're violating the Primary Directive by introducing
guns
feminism into their society.
Feminism and guns. Yeah. It's great though that he gives them the gun and he's like, "Quickly, there's only 5 more bullets in there. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's get out of here." And so then the daughter, he tries to go and get the daughter himself. The son, Abu, tries to go get the Carrie's. I'll just call him Carrie. Carrie's daughter. And try and run away from her, and she gets caught, and they're gonna kill her, and Abu's like, no, you gotta go in with your crazy weapons and stop them. And this is where the Prime Directive thing comes in. And they're like, oh, we can't interfere. And Sam's like, damn straight we can't. I'm a woman and I'm going to fight for other women, damn it. Suffrage. But no, I understand. It's a 16-year-old girl. I understand. I totally understand that. This poor 16-year-old girl is in love and she's going to die for it. Yeah, screw that. That's stupid. So they try and figure out there's got to be a law or something to like stop this. And they figure out there's a law where a chieftain can fight the chieftain and prevent it all. Well, remember earlier in the episode, they said Sam's a chieftain from a great land far away.
Right.
And so, boom. Because Carrie's like, I'm not going to fight this old dude. And she's like, yeah, you fight me, bitch. And she wins.
Yep.
And she doesn't kill him. And they change the laws. And the two get married. And they don't stay for the wedding. And the end.
Because it's 6 days long.
Because it's 6 days long. And we too old for that shit.
3 days long still.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof. Anyway, and that's the end of that episode. So, how do we feel?
Hey, I'm going to not. I'm like I said, I'm kind of on the quest for the one.
Yes.
Chevron episode, but I don't think this is that bad. I think
It's
I'm
not.
putting this one down at a 3. There's some good jokes in here, and they're still trying to figure things out with this episode. This is the first of these type of episodes. Like those who watch Doctor Who will remember, the history episodes that were just standalones that had nothing to do with like fighting aliens or stuff. This is like their first one of those for Stargate.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you, but I'll give it a 3.5, even up to a 4 if we're not going to do halves, and only because reanalyzing it and talking about it, thinking about how it is like kind of a Prime Directive introduction to the show, and it's figuring that out. It's just, it definitely loses points for the bad writing and bad direction and the bad use of a very good actor. Yeah. So now The Enemy Within gets an 8 or a 9 for me because
I'm up there. I'm with you. I think an 8 is a good line.
8 is a very good, I think, line for that episode. You learn a lot about the Goa'uld, and Teal'c officially on the team. Yeah. I feel like though it could have delved deeper into conversation with the Goa'uld a little bit. Maybe have like O'Neill talk to him by himself. When because it's Kowalski, it's Kowalski
relationship.
Yeah, and so because remember, if we remember, and we'll get to this episode eventually, that episode where they're in that like simulation and it replays these with Kowalski over and over again, and so it's that relationship between Kowalski and Jack is a very important one. I wish they would have touched on that. That's why it's not a perfect episode, but it's close to a perfect episode. These really first 3 episodes. Children of the Gods Part 1 and 2, and then this one are fantastic. And then you got to have a falter. You can't have, everything good in a row. And unfortunately, we're going to get the next 2 out of the next 2, another not so great one as well.
I will just watch the next one.
Okay.
I don't remember the one that comes after it.
The one that comes after that is the one we were just talking about. The one with the First Commandment, the one that we were talking about, where it's the guy thinks he's the god, the dad from who used to date Sam, and
I'm going. That one is terrible.
Yes,
I'm really starting to think that I have to watch that one other episode before that. But that episode is really cringe and bad and has not aged well at all.
No.
And it may well be our one.
It may be, but again, it's season 1 though. And the way that a lot of these shows go is it goes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're finding your feet, you're figuring shit.
Yes, exactly. And then the meat of this is in those middle seasons, and then starts to wind down. While the last seasons are great, you're missing some actors, and we'll get to that eventually.
Oh
yeah. So, but
it's got to be one of the best shows ever.
Yeah.
There's stuff that happens in that episode. I can't believe they did that.
Yeah. And then I can't wait till we get to episodes like Wormhole Extreme and stuff like that. The 200th episode and things like that. Or it's like, oh man, or the 100th episode, I think it was, is what it was. I think so. Yeah, might have been 100th episode.
200 where we have the marionettes.
Yes. Yeah. 200 was the one, and you get the furlings and all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that later.
Yes, eventually later. But this has been about, again, we're in season 1. These 2 episodes got definitely different scores on the spectrum, and we may see that a bunch in the first season. As we get to later seasons, we're going to see more good episodes in a row for sure. Yeah. If you have any comments about these episodes, or if you started watching Stargate because you saw these 2 first videos that we've done on this, leave a comment down below. Let us know. Make sure that you do share the video with other people who may not have seen Stargate, or people who love Stargate, so they can leave us comments on what they think about these episodes. And make sure you do click that like button, click that subscribe button, and ring that bell so you know when more videos like this and live streams and other videos are posted. Other than that, thanks, guys. Check out David over on the X/Twitter/Twix at Karen Tov, and I'll post all his other stuff that I do in the description. And remember, we're over on Twitch as well, at twitch.tv/RedShirtsRemastered, where we do most of our gaming streams and sometimes some other streams as well. But we'll be back probably in a couple of weeks for the next video. David's got Canadian Thanksgiving coming up. Happy Thanksgiving, David.
Yep.
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. And so we will not be spending our weekend with the Goa'ulds next weekend, but the weekend after that. So catch you then, and thanks, Red Shirts Nation. Bye.
Bye-bye.